You two, I believe, are new here, right? I know you, but not from here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, new to the center, but not new to me. And have you been here, sir?
2 years before.
2 years before. What happened? You went to Dubai? I'm joking. Welcome back. Okay. So, everyone can hear me okay? Alright. So, here on Saturday evening, we're doing a continuing series of lectures on the Heart Sutra. So we're going to continue with that in a few minutes. But what I first thought we could do is some meditation to begin with. I'm sorry that I was late. I'm not going to even give you an excuse. Okay? So, our newcomers, have you had much experience with meditation before? A little bit, okay. Okay, so we'll keep it simple. Just try to get into a good meditation posture. Since you're sitting on the cushion, you're going to have crossed legs. If you can get into half lotus posture, that's great. If not, then whatever is comfortable for you. And then the hands you can have on your knees like this, it's fine. You can also have in the lap, the left hand down first and the right hand on top of it. But the legs are just to get yourself a stable base, you know? But the most important thing is to have a straight spine. So, not slouching over like this, but straighten the spine. Make sure that your nose is over your navel. You're not leaning to the front or the back or the sides. Then we can gently kind of roll our shoulders up and back, which opens up our chest. Allow more air to come in. Okay. Is that the battery?
Yes, I have.
Wow. How many sessions do these batteries last?
5, 6 sessions.
Oh, really? Okay. It seems that they always go out when I come. They're Duracell, which is like the best brand. Yeah. Okay, that's better. Okay, so where were we? Okay, roll the shoulders up and back, opening up the chest. And then slightly tuck in your chin to your neck like this, you see? You'll feel some elongation in the back of the neck. And here for our meditation, try to keep your eyes slightly open, enough to allow light in. And then, at the beginning of the meditation session, it's always good to scan the body and try to identify any areas where we have tension that is stored up. So, from head to toe, look, mentally scan through your body, especially starting with the face. Relax all the facial muscles, particularly around the eyes, around the mouth. Go down to the neck and shoulders. And just try to instill a deep sense of relaxation. Anywhere that you observe tension, you can breathe into that place, and then on the exhalation, think that all the tension is being released with the breath. Continuing down the back, the chest, the arms, continuing with the seat, down the legs all the way to the toes. It's a relaxed yet disciplined posture. Now, having corrected our posture and released any tension, we turn our attention to the breath. So here, become aware of the sensations in the body as we inhale and exhale. For most of us, it's best to use the rising and falling of the abdomen. So just become aware of the rising and falling. As we inhale, feel the skin of the stomach come into contact with the clothes. As we exhale, feel that contraction. Here we're working with the natural breath as it is. We don't care so much if the breath is long or short. We're just trying to bear witness and identify if it is long or short, rough or smooth. For beginners, it's also good to count the exhalations. So inhale, exhale, count 1. Inhale, exhale, count 2, and so forth. Until you reach 10, and then start over again at 1. If before you reach 10, your mind has wandered off and you've lost the object of meditation, then gently, without judging yourself, being too hard on yourself, bring the attention back to the breath. So we'll do this for 5 minutes. So gently come out of the meditation and bring your awareness back to the room. So our relative newcomers, the instructions for that meditation were understandable?
Yes, right.
Great. Welcome. Have you guys been here before?
No, first time.
Okay. Welcome. We just did a guided meditation, so sorry you missed out. But actually, a little advertisement. On our YouTube channel, we have a YouTube channel, there is a series of guided meditations, including the one we just did. So, check it out. Okay. So, Shanti, this is now, which session of the Heart Sutra is it now?
8th section.
8th session. Wow. Okay. So, of you here, how many of you have been to all 7 before?
I missed out one, but I watched it on YouTube.
Amazing. Okay. So, so yeah, including making up for it by looking. Okay. Oh, sorry. You behind the pillar. Sorry, you weren't here at the beginning, but I said if you can't see me, then I can't see you. So please reposition yourself so that I can see you. And Sadhana, can you? How many fingers am I holding up? See? It's not just so I can see if you guys fall asleep or not. It's not just that. But you know, there's even stories from the time of Buddha. One time he just held a flower up in the teaching hall, and some people in the crowd got enlightened. Right? So sadhana, if I had the flower in this hand, you would have missed out on your chance. Yeah. Okay, so including making up for sessions you didn't physically come, then people who've done 7, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're talking. See, this is why we have the YouTube channel. Okay, because people are busy, can't come all the time. Okay, 6, 5, 4. Well, you raised your hand for 7. Now you're raising it again for 4. Huh? It's really 4.
No, it's 7.
Oh. I thought you were going to be very cute with me. Like, if you've been to 7, that also means you've been to 6, right? You know. Sometimes you do that on the debate courtyard. Okay. Anyway. Then if it's fewer than 3. Ravi, how many? 1.
Yeah, I'm Chennai. I was born in Bangalore.
What's that?
I was not in that room.
And where you were doesn't have an internet connection? Huh? I'm joking. See, I'm Ravi. I've known for many years now. And he's very interested in the Heart Sutra, right? He wanted actually the commentary on its longer kind of cousin, the Vajrakara Sutra, and that you attended mostly all the sessions. But now the Heart Sutra. Okay, you're on the mailing list, right? Then if you're on the mailing list, then they send you the links to the videos that you can, watch in Chennai or wherever you go. Okay. Anyway, I'm saying all this not just to advertise our YouTube channel, but the point is I wanted to see, because one difficulty of doing this course, we, by the way, are supposed to finish the Heart Sutra in 10 sessions. Don't laugh too loud. Okay. But actually I wanted to do this also. Let's read the Heart Sutra first before we get into things. Okay? So you all have these blue books in front of you, right? So on the very last 2 pages, recitation of the sutra. If you don't have a blue book, okay? So let's read together. And maybe before we read, yeah, actually, let's just read. Okay. The heart, and when I say read, I mean read out loud. That means making sound. Okay? The Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling on Master Vulture's mountain in Vajraya, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbing the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravaditeshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravaditeshvara: how should any son of lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravaditeshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of lineage or daughter of lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path, and no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely and dwell in perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times also manifestly, completely awaken to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in the reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, The mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata om gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhi svaha. Sharipuja, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arli Teshvara, saying, well said, Samanuni, it is like that. It is like that. Once you practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated, even the Tadagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the Madhava Shadi Putra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arli Teshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, will overjoy and highly praise that spoken by the Bhagavan. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Okay, so that's the Heart Sutra right there. Perhaps the most famous of the Mahayana Sutras is recited on a daily basis in the countries that follow the Mahayana Buddhist system. So now, for our newcomers, we're supposed to go over this in 10 sessions. We're now in session number 8. So where do you think we are in the Heart Sutra? Form is empty. Okay? So, Shanti, do you know the right answer?
We are at the question, page 13 in the commentary. I think it has to do with the question that Shariputra poses.
Right. So have we done the question or not?
No.
Okay. So
just read the commentary.
So where we are is we've gotten to beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Is that right? So the second paragraph. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then some of you are going to be like, what the heck were these guys doing for 7 sessions? Right? So now, those people that have listened to the whole series, what did we do? Can you help us? Okay, maybe I don't want to ask that. Can I withdraw the question? Okay. So actually, before you just dive into a sutra like this, it's very important to set the context. And setting the context about, why do we study sutras? Why do we practice Dharma? Why do we meditate? Why did the Buddha teach this? What are we doing here? Basically, right? I often ask, why did you guys come here? Why did you come to the center? Right? It's very good to think about these things. So much of our lives we do quite mindlessly, right? Without particular clear intention or motivation. We just kind of go through life. Right? So, why am I talking about the YouTube so much? But we just came out with this supplementary series, right? And I think you, Anita, saw. Did any of you, the rest of you see? There's just a very quick 10-minute lecture that came out this week. Okay. Anita,
Yeah.
what was the title of it?
Oh gosh. The title?
Yeah. It's the easy part.
How to study Dharma.
Why and how to study
Yeah,
Dharma.
why and how to study
Yeah,
Dharma.
okay. So that actually in 10 minutes, I distilled probably the first 3 sessions that we did here. Right? Sending convex. Why do we study? Yeah. And why do we study? Because we want to be free from suffering. And we want to, have authentic, lasting happiness. Okay. So where does studying these sutras come into it? So the Buddha, there's one stanza by Nagarjuna that I often mention. It's actually the first thing that His Holiness the Dalai Lama recites every day when he wakes up in the morning at 3 a.m. But he quotes Nagarjuna saying, "Enthused by great compassion, you taught the sublime Dharma to overcome all wrong views. To the Gautam Buddha I prostrate." Okay? So actually within that one stanza is an entire encapsulation of the entire Buddha Dharma. Enthused by great compassion, compassion being the mind that wishes others be free from suffering. Okay? So the Buddha has this as his overarching motivation for every single action that he does, wishing that others be free from suffering. Right? But although the Buddha wants us to be free from suffering, as it says in the sutra, that the Buddhas do not wash away our sins with water, nor do they remove our sufferings with their hands, nor do they transfer their realizations to other mind stream, but the Buddhas liberate sentient beings by teaching the reality. Okay? So here it gets into the very unique discovery of the Buddha was not just to have the wish that others be free from suffering, but then to inquire, why are we suffering? Why are we suffering? And his unique contribution was actually the root of our suffering is in our own minds, and in particular, our own distorted ways of viewing reality. You see? It's through these, our own kind of mental distortions and fabrications that we then create, on a very fundamental level, our own suffering. Okay? So, these distortions are, well, we have many kinds of distortions, but the sort of root of the root is a fundamental misapprehension about how phenomena exist. Okay? We attribute a level of existence, a mode of existence onto phenomena above and beyond what is actually there. You understand? This exaggeration or reification. Okay? So the famous example, and we'll get to this more later, it's like, the rope in the garden at dusk. When we look at it, we can mistake it as a snake. There's no snake there. But due to the lack of light and the way that the rope is coiled, we can mistake there being a snake there. We can mistake there being a snake there. And that causes all sorts of fear. Right? But through investigation, we come to understand there's no snake there from the side of the rope. Right? What was that? It was just a fabrication, an exaggeration, a reification in our own minds. Right? So this example of the rope and the snake actually then, everything is like that. Everything is like that. With one small difference, well, maybe it's a big difference. You see, the way we view phenomena, okay, remember that phrase everyone has heard of, beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Yeah, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, what that means, although there might appear to be some beauty existing from the side of the object, right? Well, if there's 10 people in the room and they view the same object, some would say, oh, that's so nice. Some would say, no, that's so ugly. People have different thoughts about it, right? So then they say, well, no, there's no objective beauty existing from the object. It's all in the eye of the beholder. It all depends on the person viewing it, right? So Nagarjuna, the Buddha, they would accept that wholeheartedly. We, from our mouths, will even say that, But when we look in our own lives, in our own experience, it's not that way. Although we might say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but when we go out and we interact in the world, we have the appearance of beauty being from the side of the object, and then we act like there's beauty there, right? And then with the attractive things, we see the attractiveness coming from the side of the object, therefore we wish to possess, right? The unattractive things, we see the unattractiveness from the side of the object, therefore we want to, destroy, get rid of, right? So this is the whole process of then how, karma or actions are underlain or motivated by this fundamental misapprehension of the object, right? We think that there is beauty inherently from the side of the object because we think the object itself exists from its own side, right? If there's no object there existing from its own side, there could be no beauty existing from its own side. Okay? We'll get into more about what this existence from its own side means in a few minutes. But I'm just setting the context. Okay? This, just take it as a hypothesis for now. This fundamental misapprehension of how phenomena exist is what the Buddha discovered and recognized as the root of all of our suffering. And so, since he then wants sentient beings to be free from that suffering, there's no choice. Sentient beings have to get rid of their mistaken views. And the problem is, since things appear to have existence from its own side, how will we overcome these wrong views? But we first need to rely on teachings or someone else to tell us, hey, wait a minute. Things might not be the way they appear. So that is why the Buddha then taught the Dharma, to help us overcome these wrong views. He taught the Holy Dharma to overcome our wrong views, to Gautam Buddha and prostrate. Okay? So right there, that's why we study, why we practice, as well as why the Buddha then taught. The Buddha taught to help sentient beings overcome their wrong views. Okay? So now, if you've been paying attention, then there might be this like, oh, wait a minute, what are you saying? Like, there's no bowl existing from the side of the bowl, what does that even mean? Does that mean you're saying there's no bowl in your hand right now? Is there a bowl in my hand? There's a bowl in my hand. Is the bowl existing from its own side? Okay, if we start to investigate a little bit more, it gets quite confusing, right? We want to say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So, where is the beauty? It doesn't literally like in my eyeball. Well, that means it depends on who's looking at it, right? So is the beauty in my mind? The beauty of the bowl is in my mind? Or is the beauty of the bowl in my hand? In my mind, but the bowl is in my hand. So we have the bowl in my hand, but its beauty in my mind? Yeah.
Because for me it might be beauty, but for her it might not be beauty.
That's true, but if we say that, okay, the kind of shiny brass color of the bowl, is that on the table or in my mind? The color is there, right? So we have attributes of the bowl, right? And normally we would think, right, you know, like the blackness. Okay, I just shaved my head yesterday, but I do have black hair, except for 3. But, okay, the blackness of my hair is like one essence with my hair, right? So we can't say, oh, the hair, you know, the hair is on your head, but its blackness is, you know, in Goa, right? Because they're one nature, right? Huh? We have the how do you say, in Tibetan, it's the Keji and Keche. It's like the basis and its attributes, right? So don't we hold that the beauty of the bowl is one of the bowl's attributes? Well, you're very advanced then. In normal parlance, we talk about that, right? Come on. Normal, right? Right? Okay. Anyway, I'm not trying to confuse you. It's confusing. Okay? So because of that, okay, then all these, that's why we have so many texts, right? That's why, you know, for just over a page of sutra, we have 20 hours of lecture, right? That's why in the study program, which I'm currently undertaking, you know, we study 5 texts for 20 years, you know, because there's a lot to think about. And so the Buddha, when he taught, then he taught all these different teachings designed to gradually guide and lead the disciples to the ultimate view of reality, which they say it's like a razor's edge, right? A razor's edge where we're trying to find the middle way between 2 extremes. The extreme of nihilism, which is nothing exists, you know. So then when I start talking like that, there's no bowl there. What? Then there's no bowl, right? So to think then that there's no bowl, or there's no beauty, or there's no you or me, that would be falling into nihilism. But then the other side is then to, you know, have what they call the extreme of eternalism. Oh yes, there is the bowl there, very solid, independent from my mind. There's beauty there, right? So actually, how then the bowl exists, how beauty exists, how anything does exist, is very, very subtle to arrive at that razor's edge between those 2 extremes. Most of us were totally in the camp of eternalism, actually. I don't think there's any nihilists here, right? So because of that, then to lead sentient beings gradually to the highest view, without them then falling into either the 2 extremes, the Buddha taught 108 volumes of sutras. Volumes. Those things wrapped in, I don't even know if you know. Those are orange cloths. In it is a text like this. Unbound. I don't know if you've seen before. But anyway, it's like 1,000 pages each. 108 of those. So many sutras there are. But of all those sutras, maybe this one page and a few lines contains the entire kind of essence of all of that. What do you think? I think so. That's what heart means. Hridaya, essence. It's not boom, 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 not that hard. Heart, essence. Okay? So anyway, it's kind of review, and kind of I just started talking and that's what came out. But in any case, what we then were talking about for those many first sessions, setting the context, why the Buddha taught, all the various teachings of the Buddha taught, and then this Perfection of Wisdom Sutra is a class of those sutras. Yeah. And it is a type of sutra where the explicit main subject matter is the perfection of wisdom. So what is then the perfection of wisdom? Here, although wisdom is of many types, the perfection of wisdom is the wisdom realizing the ultimate nature of reality. Okay, that's the wisdom we're most interested in. Because that is the wisdom that serves as the direct antidote to the ignorance that reifies that exaggerated sense of reality that is not there. That is the wisdom that will serve as a direct antidote to the root of suffering, to the root of samsara, the cycle of rebirth, uncontrolled rebirth. Okay? And then we talked about what then makes it the perfection, yeah, or paramita, yes? And so in this context, you know, the etymology is like gone to the other shore, gone to the other shore, okay? So that is a kind of, you know, analogy for reaching enlightenment, right? There's the kind of ocean of samsara, right? And crossing over that to go to the other shore of enlightenment. So this, you know, the practice of the perfection of wisdom enables us to go to the other shore. Okay? That's in general. But here in this context, what that means is, you know, the motivation with which we undertake our practice needs to be conjoined with this thought of bodhicitta. Right? Bodhi means enlightenment, citta is mind. So the mind of enlightenment, which is the mind wishing to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay? Got it? So, let me just explain and clarify. Yeah? The wisdom in this context means the wisdom realizing the ultimate nature of reality, okay? Which in general is what is required to attain liberation or enlightenment. But the perfection means not just any type of wisdom realizing the ultimate nature of reality, but a wisdom realizing shunyata, emptiness, or the ultimate nature of reality, that is conjoined, you know, combined with the motivation to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay? If one has the wisdom of ultimate reality, but doesn't have that wish to attain full enlightenment, one cannot attain the state of Buddhahood. Right? One can attain merely the state of individual liberation or nirvana. Okay? So maybe for some of the newcomers, we do differentiate between two, well, there's many types of goals, but two main ones are the individual liberation, right? Where we no longer have to take rebirth, uncontrolled rebirth, within the cycle of existence, according to our karma, and our klesha, or our afflictive emotions, right? And so the main, well, to ordinary appearances, the main disciples of Buddha, including Shariputra, who's one of the characters in the sutra, he attained that state of individual liberation. He no longer had to take rebirth within samsara. But beyond that level of realization, beyond that level of attainment, is the Buddha, the fully perfected, fully completed Buddha, who not only has abandoned the afflictive emotions, which is the main thing that fuels the cycle of rebirth, but also has abandoned the subtle obscurations within the mind that are what we call the obscurations to omniscience, right? So Buddha, we're going to get to this in a minute. Buddha, right, means like awakened one, right? So we in the Buddhist cosmology consider the Buddha to be all-knowing, right? Okay? So those are two different goals, and of course, to achieve any kind of goal that's difficult and doesn't come naturally, you of course need the sort of motivation and aspiration to attain it. So it only makes sense if we're talking about enlightenment, you have to first have the wish to attain it before you can actually do it, right? Okay? So that's what perfection of wisdom is. Okay? So, yeah, that's what we covered in 7 lectures. So how we're doing it actually is in this book. We are on page 13. Actually, just let's go to the last section on page 12. Okay, a discussion of the actual sutra produced from that. With regard to the second, the meaning of the actual sutra, there are 3 parts. How Shariputra asked this question, how Avalokiteshvara answered, and how that was admired by the teacher. Okay, so now just a general point. How then these classes go, I normally do just like this. We start with a bit of meditation. I then kind of set the context, and then I go through this commentary written by one of the great Tibetan masters, Tenzin Namjong. I go through it word by word. And then every so often I will then pause and say, okay, this is what this means. Do you guys have any questions? I might ask you questions, and we go like that. Okay? Alright. So, how Shariputra asked this question. Okay. The first is from, then by the power of the Buddha, to who wishes to practice profound perfection of wisdom. Okay, so now what this commentator, Tenzin Namjong, is doing is, then he's, if we then just turn to the last page, if you haven't had the sutra memorized yet, right? So where are we? Then by the power of Buddha, to who wishes to practice the profound perfection of wisdom. Okay? So that is this third, like little paragraph. Okay? Alright. So that is Shariputra's question. Alright. Then means after Avalokiteshvara has been empowered by the Tathagata to fully understand the meaning of what was to be explained. Okay. So, let's pause just here, okay? We talked about this before, but in general, for something to be a sutra, it has to be composed by a supreme emanation body of the Buddha. which for our purposes, just think Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay? Now, this is the entire Heart Sutra, right? So it all was composed by Buddha, but you see this question by Shariputra, it came out of Shariputra's mouth, yet it was composed by Buddha. That's what we say. Okay? Now how? Then by the power of Buddha. Okay? So basically, at the beginning, right? Buddha goes into meditative equipoise on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Okay? Then through the power of the Buddha. So meaning, from the inspiration of the Buddha, from the blessings of the Buddha, then this question came to the mind of Shariputra. Okay? So because it was inspired by Buddha, then we say, well, Buddha inspired the question, therefore the composer or the author of that question still is Buddha. Therefore it still is a sutra. Okay? So they categorize the types of speech of Buddha in three. Okay? Of course, there is the speech directly spoken from the mouth of the Buddha. That there's no arguments about. But then there is what we call Jesu Nangwe Ka, or the speech of subsequent permission. Okay? So what is an example of this in the sutra? Shantiji. No, I don't want maybes. I don't want maybes.
Following and then the response of Bodhisattva Mahasattva to the leadership.
Okay. What type of speech is that? Subsequent permission speech. Okay. I'm not seeing others shaking their head. Anita, do you agree with your sister?
What did she say exactly? I couldn't hear her.
Yeah. She was saying, Avalokiteshvara's answer. Shariputra, a bodhisattva Mahasattva who wishes to practice the profound activity of the perfection of wisdom, should occur in his answer.
Yeah, his answer is due to permission of the Buddha. Is that what she said?
Subsequent permission.
Subsequent permission. But it's through the inspiration of the Buddha. I don't know what's exactly the difference with permission.
Okay. So, what are the three types of speech of Buddha?
The direct, then through blessing, and one is subsequent permission.
Okay. So, this speech spoken by Avalokiteshvara, right, is definitely not the first. Because for it to be the first type of speech, it has to be uttered by the Buddha, coming out of the Buddha's mouth. And Avalokiteshvara is not Buddha Shakyamuni. Okay? So we know it's not the first. So then we know it's either speech from power of blessing or subsequent permission. Okay?
Probably blessing, because it says in the beginning, through the power of the Buddha.
Okay. What Shantiji is asserting is that through the power of Buddha, Shariputra said this. So the question is the speech arising from the blessing, but Shariputra's Avalokiteshvara's answer is subsequent permission speech. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why not?
No, I think if it's a blessing to Shariputra, then it would be a blessing to...
So what then would you posit as subsequent permission speech?
Subsequent permission is maybe when the person wasn't there. Like when, yeah, like they say the Ananda, there's that controversy about the Ananda not being present at the time.
So give me the example in this sutra of subsequent permission speech.
In this sutra?
Yeah. Shariputra's question.
Because it said that by the Buddha, the language Shariputra so then by the Buddha would be the
Then what is the speech coming from the blessing of the Buddha in this sutra?
Arya Bhakti's explanation of how one should train in the practice of personal wisdom.
Okay, so, yes?
The prologue?
Hmm?
The prologue is subsequent permission. The prologue.
The prologue. Yes. Thus did I hear at one time. Okay? Now what is the whole point of this subsequent permission, right? Let's just put aside for the time being who the I is in terms of thus I heard at one time. We talked about that the other week. Okay? But let's just say, according to the kind of non-controversial answer, it's Ananda. Okay? So Ananda's there. Does he hear Shariputra? Does he hear Shariputra's question?
If he's there,
Yeah? He's there, right?
Yeah.
Does he hear Avalokiteshvara's answer?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay? So subsequent means many, many, many years later. Before the sutras were then compiled, the Buddha said to Ananda, hey, I want you to compile everything I've said. And, at the beginning, just give the context. Where it was, who was there, and so forth. Give out those relevant details. Okay? I'm giving you permission to do that. That's subsequent. Subsequent to what? Subsequent to the sutra being uttered. Right? Okay? So then, both Shariputra's question and Avalokiteshvara's answer are
Subsequent.
through blessing. Not subsequent. If it's subsequent permission, then whoever the I is, thus I heard at one time, right? It wouldn't be heard by him. Right? Subsequent. Many, many, many years later.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? Okay. Alright. So now we have three types. Okay? Now, this, by the way, you guys should be able to do this. If for example, you're given a sheet, let's say on an exam, right? I've asked the people who are really studying here to memorize the Heart Sutra. Then wouldn't a great exam question be, okay, what are the three types of speech of Buddha, and identify every word belonging to each category of those three. Okay? So the easy one, Archana, the actual spoken by Buddha, what would be in that category?
Towards the end of the sutra, where he acknowledges what Lokiteshvara said.
But which words?
Well, sadhu, sadhu.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, you might have it in Sanskrit, that's good. Yeah, well said, Sanamajit is like that, exactly indicated in the topic of the sutras, right? That's it, right? Okay. Then between the subsequent permission and speech arising from the blessing, then it's a little bit more complicated. But the easy way is anything that was actually spoken by Avalokiteshvara or Shariputra would be blessing, by blessing, speech by the blessing, right? Okay? Then the rest, subsequent permission. Okay? Alright. Okay. So anyway, just some more advertising for you guys. We are going through this Jewel Light Illuminating Meaning, which was written by Tenzin Namjong. But if you guys are at all interested, this book, the Heart Sutra Explained, is excellent. Okay? In it, actually, is this Jewel Light Illuminating the Meaning. That's where this translation was taken from. Did any of you know that?
Yes.
You did?
I ordered the book, it will come in a couple of days. Sorry, it wasn't here already.
I see. When did we start the Heart Sutra? I'm just joking. Okay, better late than never, right? But in it, okay, and by the way, it's published by Sri Sadguru Publications, Delhi. Okay? There is an American print by the State University of New York, which would be, $30. This is 300 rupees. Okay? So anyway, what Professor Lopez has done, he has looked at the Indian commentaries of the sutra and then kind of goes through each part of the sutra and combines all of them and says what the different Indian masters have said. And then at the end, he translates 2 Tibetan commentaries on the sutra. So you get a lot of more context by doing that. So what he says is, when the sutra says, then by the power of the Buddha, it implies that both Shariputra's question and Avalokiteshvara's answer occur as a result of the Buddha's empowerment. Okay? So, they're both speech arising from the blessing of Buddha. Okay. Then, anyway, he talks about a little bit who Shariputra was. I talked about that last time as well. Anyway. Yeah. So then I'm going back to Tenzin Namjong's commentary. Venerable is a term which is generally famous for addressing those junior. But if this term is a term that occurs in the context of the compilation of the word Buddha, it is not correct that Shariputra was junior in training to the compiler Ananda. Okay, so what is this saying? Okay, in the sutra it says, right, then by the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara. Okay? So what kind of speech is that right there? Subsequent permission. Yes. So who gave the subsequent permission? The Buddha. Oh yes, and who did he give it to? Ananda. Great. Okay? So now Ananda, when he was then compiling the sutra many years later, actually after the Buddha's passing away into parinirvana, he's adding these contextual details. So he says, then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra, okay? Now in Tibetan it's Se Dang Denpa. Se Dang Denpa. Se is life. Dang Denpa means possessing life. Okay? one possessing life. Now, what it's saying here is, okay, generally for monks, okay, if a monk is junior to you, you'll address them as Seidan Denpa. Okay? If someone is senior to you, you would use another title. Neten. Shravira, I think. In Sanskrit, is that right? Anyway, it's like elder. Okay? Right? So here, between Shariputra and Ananda, who is senior?
Shariputra.
Shariputra. So the doubt being expressed here is, if Ananda is the one, right, who's compiling, it would be improper for him to address Shariputra as Setan Denpa, or venerable. He would have to use another term. Okay? But, therefore, it is spoken with special meaning of one endowed with a life. Okay, you see, Setan Denpa, endowed with life. Okay? What that means is that someone who has abandoned the afflictions and that is free from birth and death by actions and afflictions. Okay? You get it? So normally, if you're addressing someone as Sedan Denpa, if a monk is addressing another monk as Sedan Denpa, it would be reserved for someone junior to you. But here, there's special meaning. By saying Sedan Denpa, it means possessed with a life of having abandoned samsara, abandoned the karma and afflictions. So it's in that sense that Ananda is referring to Shariputra, not in the former sense of him being junior. Okay? Regarding Shariputra, a child who is the emanation of the Bodhisattva, Sarva Nivarana Vishkambin, was born from the union of his mother, Sharika. That would really be a magnificent admonition. Sharika, okay? Who has eyes like a Sharika bird, and that lives in the reed or Nalandra forests, and his father, Tishya. His name was taken from his father, Upatishya, and his name taken from his mother was Shariputra. Because he was of the Sharadavati family, he is also called Sharadavati Putra. Okay. So, anyway, you guys got it? Right? Putra is son of, right? So it's Shariputra, son of Shari. And Sharidavati Putra is because he's from the Sharidavati family. Okay? So it just is explaining why he has those two names. Okay? Alright. Son. Okay, so now actually this is something a little bit interesting. Because it says, Shariputra, a child who was an emanation of the Bodhisattva, Sarva Nivarana Vishkambin. Okay? Shanti, by the way, have you worked on next week's video? Did you at least listen to it? Oh, interesting. Because in that, I'm talking about this whole debate, this whole question, whether Avalokiteshvara, right? It says the Bodhisattva Mahasarva Avalokiteshvara, right? Yeah. Right? So is Avalokiteshvara a Bodhisattva? Huh? Yes. Ravi.
It would have been cheating for the exams, but the other people have not seen the video yet. That's one of the reasons I didn't do it, apart from no time.
I talked about this in detail, in person, 1 week ago or something. I mean, not 1 week ago, like some time ago, right?
In sessions.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, okay. Yeah, there's too much context to go into right now, but Savanivarana Vishkambini, okay, is one of the 8, what we call the 8 close Bodhisattva disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay? And the Sarah J monastic textbook, I study at Sarah J. Our monastic textbooks say they're actuality all Buddhas. But Tendala Rampa, where is he from? I think he was from Drepung Gomang. Is that right? I think so. Anyway, he doesn't follow the Sarah J system. So some of the other...
Mongolian, that's what I read somewhere. It's Mongolian.
Yeah, I think he's from Drepung Gomang. We won't hold that against him. But in their system, they would assert that Avalokiteshvara is a bodhisattva. That the 8 near bodhisattvas of the bodhisattva disciples of Buddha are bodhisattvas. Okay. So then you will see these different presentations, and it gets a little bit confusing, right? Because sometimes we hear of Shariputra being a Hinayana Arhat, one who has, is practicing just to attain his own personal liberation. He's done that. We hear in other contexts, right, that he was actually first a bodhisattva, right? He had the altruistic wish to attain enlightenment, full enlightenment for all sentient beings. He didn't want to attain just mere liberation for himself. And then there's the story of him cutting the hand. Yeah? You guys heard this? So when he was on just a new bodhisattva, okay, we have the 5 Mahayana paths. There's the path of accumulation, path of preparation, path of seeing, path of meditation, path of no more learning. So on the path of accumulation, we also have 3 subsections. There's the small, medium, and large, or great path of accumulation. When do you enter the path of accumulation? When you have uncontrived bodhicitta, the altruistic wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, uncontrived means no longer requiring effort, okay? Arising spontaneously, naturally. But even after you've attained that state of a bodhisattva, on the small path of accumulation, you can fall away from it, okay? Once you're on the middle stage of the path of accumulation, there's no turning back, okay? So then the story they tell of this is when Shariputra was on the small path of accumulation, okay, he was asked then by someone, give me your hand, okay? And so as the story goes, he cut off his hand, yeah, he cut off his right hand and gave it to the person with his left. Then the person says, how dare you attempt to hand me something with your left hand? Right? What do you think about that? Unbelievable. So Shariputra after that is like, oh my gosh. If sentient beings are this unruly, this stubborn, right? This, I don't know, words can't even express, then how can I work for their benefit? So forget the Mahayana path. I am just going to go for my own personal nirvana. And in so doing, he fell from the Mahayana path. And then entered the Hinayana, meaning wishing to attain liberation for himself alone, and then attained it in this life. Okay? So those stories are there. But here, in other contexts, you see him being referred to as the emanation of this bodhisattva, who, by the way, Sarah J asserts that he's actually a Buddha. Then, in other contexts, you'll even see that all of the Buddha's disciples were emanations of Shakyamuni Buddha himself. so makes you do this. Okay? I'm just telling you this not to confuse you, but when you then look into different texts, you'll see these different presentations. They don't have to be contradictory. They're not contradictory. To give you the kind of, the one-size-fits-all answer, these different presentations are made according to the ordinary view of disciples. So from the ordinary view of disciples, Shariputra was a Shravaka. He was an Arhat. He was not a Bodhisattva. Okay? But in actuality, if we take this to be, authentic, that he was a emanation of Sava Nivarana Vishkambini, which I think we do. Because in the Lotus Sutra, it does talk about Shariputra being a Bodhisattva. Anyway, it's something to investigate. Okay? Son and daughter of the good lineage means those who have the Mahayana lineage. Okay? So who has the Mahayana lineage?
Bodhisattvas.
Soulless.
Okay. In general, right, it's actually a little bit unclear. Okay, for sure, bodhisattvas and above. But does a Buddha have the Mahayana lineage, Shanti? Why?
Yes.
Okay. So you at least have to say someone who has uncontrived bodhicitta is abiding in the Mahayana lineage. But there's one section in our the commentary on Abhisamaya Alamkara, right, by Maitreya, which says that someone who has uncontrived great compassion, okay, has awakened their Mahayana lineage. Okay? So that great compassion means I myself will free all sentient beings from their suffering. That is the step right before bodhicitta. Because for there to be actual bodhicitta, you need to not only have the I myself will free all sentient beings from their suffering, but the thought, and therefore I will attain full enlightenment. Okay? Right? So those who have that wish to free all sentient beings from their suffering, they say have awakened the Mahayana lineage. Whether they are abiding in the Mahayana lineage, not sure. In our textbook, Wangdu, it says, that those people would be, Tek Chen Girik Chen, right? Mahayana lineage. Tek Chen Girik. Chen means like possessing. So, I don't know. Okay. The purpose of saying son and daughter is that only those who are male or female can create all the good qualities of the path and the realizations. Eunuchs and impotent people cannot. Therefore it is said in order to exclude them. This is very politically incorrect. So I'm going to look at the Tibetan, the original Tibetan, okay? Because this impotent people, I don't think it means, like a man who, you know what I mean, right? A man who needs Viagra, right? It's not like, you're in your 70s, you can't attain full enlightenment, you pop a few Viagra, you can. It's not like that, okay? It's not like that. So, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, okay. So Wangdu, maybe you can help me. Zama. Zama. It's like maning, okay, rather than impotent, I think it's neuter. It's hermaphrodite and neuter. I think that's a better translation than a eunuch and impotent people. Okay. So this also is a little bit politically incorrect. But somehow it says in the Vinaya text that these people are not able to hold pratimoksha vows. They're not able to become monks or nuns. Okay? And anyway, the point is that all sentient beings have the potential to become Buddha, but in the life, in that particular life, when one is born as a hermaphrodite or a eunuch, right, then in that very life, in this system, it is said one cannot attain the full enlightenment. Okay?
That's strange, no? I mean, like with the celibacy, and one of the vows is celibacy, right?
Yeah.
So these guys will be celibate.
Yeah, but the point is, right, they couldn't take the vow of celibacy, right? Because it's kind of like this. To make an analogy,
Okay.
in the northern continent, right? Utarakuru, what is it? Yeah, nice. Right? Zhangzhaminyan, unpleasant sound. Okay? It is said that there they can also not be holders of pratimoksha vows, right? Because that land supposedly, I mean, you go to a tree and you just ask for anything material and it comes, right? Right? So then there's no basis for there to be a vow against stealing, right? It's like, why would you steal? You just go to a tree, you say, can I have the latest iPhone 10? And boom, it's there. Right?
There's no question of self-control.
Yes. Okay? So I think by analogy, right, people who are, physically unable to engage in sexual relations, then the vow of celibacy, it's like, I vow not to buy a Ferrari tonight. That's like, what are you talking about? Right? I think it's something like that. Okay? Anyway, my point is, okay, we then don't discriminate against these people. Okay? We still love them. It's just talking like, how do you say? Kind of technically speaking, it is said that they don't have all the conditions to attain enlightenment in that very lifetime. Okay? But by the way, even though we have those conditions, if we don't practice, we also won't attain enlightenment. Actually, probably everyone in this room, myself included, won't attain enlightenment in this life because we're not putting in the effort, right? So don't, feel puffed up. Okay, with respect to how should one train who wishes to practice the profound, that which is the profound practice of the perfection of wisdom. Wow, say that fast 10 times. The profound practice of the perfection of wisdom is the practice of the meaning of the perfection of wisdom. With respect to how should one train who wishes to practice the profound, that which is the profound perfection of wisdom is the practice of the meaning of the perfection of wisdom. Hi-yo. So let me look at the Tibetan again. Okay. Oh, very interesting. Professor Lopez has missed one sentence.
Oh.
So, you know, there's like, oh, sorry. I missed one sentence. Whosoever, that's what I skipped. Whosoever means distinctions are not made. That is, anyone who does not fear emptiness and has interest is suitable. Ah, okay, good. Yes? Yeah. Remember, you know, how should anyone train who wishes to practice the profound perfection of wisdom, right? So anyone or whosoever, okay? Okay, so much. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. With respect to how one should train who wishes to practice the profound, okay? That's words of the sutra itself. That which is the profound perfection of wisdom is the practice of the meaning of the perfection of wisdom, means emptiness. Okay? So how, the full sentence, right? How should one train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? Okay? Yeah. He asks how those who wish to act, that is, who wish to practice, should practice. These commentaries, man. It's like, okay, anyway. It comes off very clunky in the English, doesn't it? The occurrence of the phrase, and here it's the Tibetan, Chepa Chepa Dupa, in the majority of texts these days is incorrect. It should be Chepa Chepa Dupa. Okay? Because Chepa and Chepa refer to the object of achievement and the means of achievement, or to the object of practice and the practitioner. Okay. Basically, Tenzin Namjong is saying, because many of the root texts of the Heart Sutra in that day were saying Chepa Chepa, but it should actually be Chepa Chepa. Okay? It's the difference of one vowel. Okay? But he's saying it should be Chepa Chepa. Okay? Vimala Mitra says in his vast commentary, in some editions it says, those who wish to practice. This means that there is no difference between do and achieve. The master, Prashastra Sena, says in his commentary, the practitioner is the person, the bodhisattva. The practice is the doctrine, the perfection of wisdom. Okay? Those who wish to practice the profound perfection of wisdom. Okay? So there's those who wish to practice, that's the bodhisattva. How do they practice? Okay? So if you have it the other way, then it's like reversed, right? So it makes more sense grammatically, that's the point, right? How should one who wishes to practice, practice? Right? The first is the one doing the practice, and the second one is the practice. Okay? If you have it reversed, then it's confusing. Right? That's the point of all this. Okay? Alright. So now, how Avalokiteshvara answered. Regarding the second, how Avalokiteshvara answered, the short answer is from Avalokiteshvara said this, should view things in this way. 2, they should correctly view those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent existence. The extensive answer is from form is emptiness up until when the Buddha says well said or well done. Okay? So here, what is that saying? By the way, Anita, you have it memorized, the whole thing?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So here, in Shariputra's answer, there's the short answer and then the expanded answer. Okay? So, part of the reason, these commentaries are a little bit difficult is Tenzin Namjong is assuming everyone who's reading this commentary has the Heart Sutra itself memorized. So then when he says it's from this point to this point, everyone knows. Right? Okay? So for us, it should be the short answer. Avalokiteshvara said this, right?
To the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage, or daughter of the lineage, who wishes to practice profound perfectionism should view it, should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly, beholding the 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature.
Nice. Okay? That's the short answer. Okay? Then the rest of what he says, starting with what?
Form is empty.
Form is emptiness and this form. Up until the end of what he says, right? Right before the well said, son of the lineage by the Buddha. All that is the long answer. Okay? Alright. Because the individual words are easy to understand, they do not need to be explained. Okay. So here, Tenzin Namjong is, it's a common thing that Tibetan commentators do. They do that move, like, oh, this is easy to explain, it's easily understood, so I don't need to explain it. And the other one that they use a lot is, there should be a lot more said here, but fearing verbosity, I will leave it at that. I want to try that on some of my exam questions.
Yeah, we've done that in our answers.
Okay. So, here he's first talking about the short answer, right? Shariputra, any son of lineage or daughter of lineage who wishes to practice a profound activity of the perfection of wisdom should correctly and repeatedly behold those 5 aggregates also as empty in their nature. Okay? Now, why it's easy to understand is that answer mirrors the question, right? And since Tenzin Namjong has already said in the question, what does it mean, the practitioner, what is the profound perfection of wisdom, all those things, then that is all easy to explain, or easy to understand. Okay? But, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature, right? Then that he is explaining. Okay? So the word also in those 5 aggregates also indicates that not only is the I empty of inherent existence, but the mind is also empty of inherent existence. Thus it indicates the stages of understanding the 2 selflessnesses of persons and phenomena. Okay. So this point actually differs in the various commentaries. Yes? Okay. So, right? Those of you who don't have it memorized, you can just turn back to the second to last page, right? Correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Okay? So now when His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives commentary on the Heart Sutra, he often says that, and it's true, this word also, yeah, it's there in the Sanskrit, it's there in the Tibetan, it's not there in the Chinese translation. Okay? And what that also is referring to is a source of a lot of different views in the great commentaries. Okay? So, first let's explain what Tendal Rampa is saying. Okay? He's saying, not only is the I empty of inherent existence, but also the five aggregates are empty. Okay? So what are the five aggregates? Form, feeling, compositional factors, discrimination,
Consciousness.
discrimination, and consciousness. Okay? Those five aggregates are what we call the basis of designation of the person. The five skandhas. Okay? So, in one commentary that I heard, and I don't remember who it was, I think I know, but I'm not going to say their name. Right? They're saying it's like this. Okay? Shariputra, who, in accordance with ordinary appearances, is
Hinayana Arhat.
a Hinayana Arhat. Okay. Now, in the Hinayana system, okay, between the selflessness of person and the selflessness of phenomena, okay, by the way, this is the Sartantika Majjhimika on down. Okay? We have four main tenet systems of Buddhism: Vaibhashika, Sautrantika, Chittamatra, and Majjhimika. The Majjhimika is later divided into the Svatrantika Majjhimika and Prasangika Majjhimika. I'm saving up for those Sanskrit lessons. Okay? Okay? Prasangika Majjhimika is the pinnacle. Svatrantika Majjhimika on down. Hold that for someone to attain Hinayana Arhatship. For someone to attain mere liberation from samsara for themselves alone, they only need to realize and meditate on the selflessness of person, but not the selflessness of phenomena. Okay? Now, the selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena, also in those systems, are differentiated by what is refuted. Yes? Okay, let me put that into contradistinction to the Prasangika and I'll make it more clear. Okay? In the Prasangika system, right, Avalokiteshvara beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Okay? So, empty of inherent nature, what is being refuted? Inherent nature. Yes. So in the Prasangika system, the selflessness of phenomena, the selflessness of person is the lack of inherent nature of a person. Okay? The person exists, fine. That person's lack of inherent nature is the selflessness of person. Okay. The selflessness of phenomena is any other existent phenomena other than a person. This lid, okay, is the basis of its selflessness of phenomena. The emptiness of this lid's inherent nature is the selflessness of phenomena. Okay? So both are refuting the same thing. What? Inherent nature. Okay? So the selflessness of person and the selflessness of phenomena in the Prasangika school is differentiated by the basis upon which the object of negation is being negated. Okay? In the lower schools, it is differentiated by what is being negated. Okay? So we're going to come to this later, but for the lower schools, the selflessness of person is the person's lack of self-sufficient, substantially existent person. That's the selflessness of person. Okay? For the Svajranjika Madhyamika, the substantive phenomena, is
Lack of
the
true
lack.
exist-
Huh?
Lack of true existence.
Okay, lack of true existence is very easy and nice to say. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. It's actually the lack of the phenomena existing without being posited by means of an unmistaken consciousness. Okay, but let's just say true existence from now. Lo nanangi wangi shakpa mayimbar. Oh, by its own uncommon mode of subsistence. Okay, a phenomena lacking true existence. Let's just say true existence. That's enough for now. Okay, you understand? So, I'm not getting into all that right now. It's not the main point right now. The point is, right, in the Prasangika school, how substance of person and substance of phenomena are being differentiated is the basis upon which that refutation is occurring. Not by what is refuted. But for the lower schools, it's by what is being refuted.
Can you please repeat that? Differentiated on basis of?
Huh?
In
what system?
The Prasangika is differentiated on basis of?
The basis upon which the object of negation is refuted. It's a lot more elegant in Tibetan. They would just say Tong Ji. Tong is emptiness, Ji is basis. It's like the basis of emptiness. Okay? But what that means is, right, everything that is empty, right? What is the emptiness of this cup? Or this cup? Its lack of inherent existence. What is the basis of that? The cup. The basis of emptiness is the cup. The emptiness is the lack of existence, inherent existence of the cup. Okay? So for them, what is being negated is inherent existence for the substance of person and the substance of phenomena. Is this, you guys getting this, right? I'm sorry, I must not be explaining it well. What is negated is the same. What is different? The basis of negation. Okay? For the lower schools, what is being negated is different. You have two different things being negated. Self-sufficient, substantially existent person, and lo la nangi wangi shapa mayimbar yu rangi tum minde dulus drupa. Okay? Without being posited by the force of an unmistaken consciousness, the object itself being established from its own uncommon nature. That's the meaning of true existence for them. Okay? Whether you understand those words or not, you know they're different, right? Okay? So two different things are being negated, and that's how they differentiate between substance of person and substance of phenomena. You with me? Yes?
Can you repeat the definition of true existence, lack of true existence for Swatantrika Madhyamika, please?
Yes. Lo nanangi wangi shapa mayimbar yu rangi tum wain be dulux jupa. Oh, you don't speak Tibetan yet? Yeah. I actually, you should add lo nume. Lo nume. Okay? So lo nume, lo is mind. Nume is unmistaken mind. Okay? So lo nume wangi, by the power of an unmistaken mind. Okay? You know, this is the other reason why we record. When I have to translate things on the fly, I might get it really nice once. And then you say, what did you say? And I'll be like, it's gone. you've missed the window of opportunity. Okay? So something like this, Shanti. Without being posited by the force of an unmistaken consciousness, the object being established by its own uncommon mode of subsistence. But we're almost out of time, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter right now what that actually means. That's not what. That's not today's, scope. Okay. Why was I bringing this up? What's the context?
Also.
We're talking about the also. Okay. So Tenda Larampa, he says, it's to say not only the I, but also the five aggregates are empty of inherent existence. So then some commentators say that this shows that this is an uncommon sutra to the Prasangika Madhyamika. Okay? Because if you explain it like that, right, not only the I, but also the five aggregates are empty of inherent existence. Okay? It's showing that what the object of negation, inherent existence, is being refuted with on the basis of both the I and the five aggregates. And that is how the selflessness of person and phenomena are differentiated. Okay? That's the point of these commentators who say like that. Okay? Alright. See, here, Tendalaramba, okay, you see, mine, this is really tricky. You see, Sarah J, where I'm sitting, we have our own kind of twist on this, right? There's the I and the mine, okay? So, I is the person. Mine, cup, right? So here, he's saying, what I think he's saying is, mine would then be phenomena. Okay? Okay? But, actually, I'm not going to confuse you with what we say at Sarah J. So let's just take it like that for now, okay? Thus, it indicates the stages of understanding the true selflessness. Okay? So, when I read that, it becomes clear to me that what he means by mine is phenomena, other than the person. Right? Empty of inherent existence means empty from its own side. Therefore, it means that phenomena are not established objectively or from the side of the object. For example, when a house appears in a dream, it does not appear from the side of a basis appearing toward the subject, but rather is projected out from the side of the perceiving consciousness. So you guys get the example? When the house appears in the dream, is the appearance of the house coming from a house? No, right? You might wake up and then you discover, oh, that beautiful house, where'd it go? Right? There's no house there, but rather it's just coming from the, projected out from the side of the perceiving consciousness. Perceiving consciousness is the dream consciousness. Right? Therefore, it must be understood that the conventional status of phenomena is just like that. We're going to fall into nihilism. When a house appears in the dream, there's no house out there. that's causing this appearance, but rather it's all merely a projection of our mind. Understand all phenomena like that. So we have the bowl. There's no bowl out there. It's all just a projection of our mind. Yes? It's difficult. According to Prasangika's inherent establishment is the object of negation, of reasonings analyzing the ultimate. Okay, we're out of time. But that's actually okay, right? Inherent establishment from the object's own side, is the object of negation, of reasonings analyzing the ultimate. So the object of negation, does it exist?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
No.
Conventional.
No, it doesn't exist.
What do you mean?
Okay. So, Prasangika's school, what is the object of negation?
Inherent nature.
Inherent nature, inherent existence, inherent establishment. Does that exist?
No.
Does it exist conventionally?
No.
Does it exist ultimately?
No.
Does it exist at all?
Doesn't exist.
Okay. So this next, the question I'm asking is actually the segue into tomorrow's lecture. See? Even though the qualification ultimate is not affixed explicitly to the object of negation, it is affixed implicitly. Therefore, it is of definitive meaning and is literal. Okay. So then we come to form is emptiness, emptiness is form. So we'll do that tomorrow. Okay? But first, there's going to be a little bit to clean up about this. Whether the ultimate, is affixed explicitly. By these words, doesn't it seem that if it's affixed implicitly, right, then they're saying ultimately phenomena don't have inherent existence. But if phenomena didn't have inherent existence ultimately or even conventionally, why would you have to affix the qualification implicitly or explicitly? Right?
Yeah, so either I'm wrong or misunderstood.
You guys get my point, right? Hey Namjong, do you have $1 million? No, not in my pocket. Right? You just say no, right? I don't have it anywhere. If I'm saying in my pocket, I'm affixing a qualification that implies something, right? Yes? Hence, even though the qualification ultimate is not affixed explicitly to the object of negation, it is affixed implicitly. What does that mean? Does that then mean inherent existence does not ultimately exist, but it exists conventionally? It seems that's what that says, right? I'm going to recheck the Tibetan, because here's the thing. What is the definition of a Prasangika Madhyamika? A holder of Buddhist tenets, who does not accept, even conventionally, inherent existence. Right? So in the Prasangika system, there is actually no reason to affix ultimately. I'm going to get into this tomorrow, we're out of time. But this is one of the main debates between Bhaviveka and Chandrakirti when they go back and forth. Chandrakirti being the kind of founder of the Prasangika Madhyamika school, Bhaviveka being the founder of the Sautrantika Madhyamika school. Okay? They both compose a commentary on Nagarjuna's Mula Madhyamika, Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom. And in that, Bhaviveka, he says that the qualification ultimately has to be affixed. Chandrakirti says no. And due to this back and forth between them, the differences between the Sautrantika and Prasangika schools becomes clear. Okay, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So let me ask, your confusion level, higher or lower than when you entered the room? Lower. Then I didn't do my job well. No, I'm joking. In general, there's a lot of things to think about. Right? This is difficult. But time is up. So, thank you very much. Let's just dedicate the merit quickly. Okay, alright, sorry. Is there any questions stemming from the words I spoke in these past 2 hours? Yes?
You told that everything is just projection. I'm sorry that my question sounds stupid.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Very new.
It's good.
Yes, you told that everything is just projection, then what is real and how to compare it?
So that's why we're saying that the middle way is like the razor's edge. Personally, I don't say that everything is a projection.
But I say nothing is projection.
Yeah.
I am real. I can feel that I am real.
Yeah, I know.
I think therefore I am.
So, here, we need to meet in the middle. Okay. If we meet in the middle, we'll meet the Buddha. Okay. So, here the Buddha differentiates between 2 levels of reality. Okay. There's a conventional reality and ultimate reality. Okay. And in order to avoid the extreme of nihilism, that means not refuting conventional reality. So, in general, I think therefore I am, fine. You exist, I exist. Conventional reality means basically everything that someone untrained in philosophy would accept. Cups, tables, you, me, rain, samosas, they all exist. Okay? We're not refuting that. Okay? So when you see here, this is important, when we say, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, right? That doesn't mean those things don't exist. At the beginning, in emptiness, there is no. We're going to talk about what that means tomorrow, but for now, ultimately, okay? Ultimately means, independently, from the object's own side. Does it talk about it in here? Okay, it is going to talk about this more tomorrow, but just for now, to give you the preview, the teaser, okay? These things exist, so the easiest way to think about it is this from the object's own side. Okay? Or, actually maybe even easier, coming from the side of the object. Okay? So, the beauty in the eye of the beholder, right? That is a little bit easier to grasp. Is there beauty that exists from the side of the bowl without a mind perceiving it? Okay?
No, but volume exists. Beauty is something.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The beauty is a little bit easier, okay? Right, so let's talk about beauty first, okay? Because conventionally speaking, there is beauty, right? Yeah, come on. Otherwise, no one would go to Hawaii or Goa for a vacation, right? We just say, oh, let's go to, Majestic. Right? Conventionally speaking, there is beauty, right? Okay?
But conventionally also beauty is always in the eyes of the world.
Yes. So I'm saying, that's why I'm using this as a good example, because it's a little bit easier. It's like the, stepping stones, right? Conventionally, we say beauty exists, but we can't conceive of beauty kind of independent from the mind perceiving it if we think a little bit intelligently about it, because it's determined by culture and the time and your own taste, blah blah blah, right? So we do see that beauty has some depends on the mind perceiving it. Okay, all right. So since the mind depends on, the beauty depends on the mind perceiving it, there is no independent beauty from the mind. There's no beauty independent from the mind. Okay? So, we are saying inherent existence means independent existence, ultimately, independent from any other phenomena. So, beauty's not existing independent from a mind perceiving it is like the emptiness of beauty. Yet, beauty exists conventionally. Okay? Beauty exists conventionally. Why? Because we as a kind of, society or community, we can say, sunsets on the beach in Goa, that's beautiful. And, if someone is viewing that and says it's ugly, we'll be like, maybe you're confused about the word, the meaning of the word, right? Right? We can conventionally talk to them and argue, right? Okay. Does that help a bit? So, conventionally beauty exists, but the way that the beauty exists is not from its own side. It's not independent from other phenomena, other factors. Okay? Yet beauty can exist. Now when we talk about the bowl itself, view all phenomena in that way, it says in the text. But we want to be like, wait a minute, no. Okay, beauty, even like Western philosophers will say, they call it a secondary property of an object. They'll say like the mass of it is there. Everyone, you come on the scale, it's, if it's 1.2 kilos for you, it'll be 1.2 kilos no matter who's operating the scale. That exists from there. What are you talking about? But beauty, okay, so they'll call that a secondary. Even colors, they say, will be a secondary property of the object. Okay? Because that depends on the cones and whatever in my eye. Okay, I'm just going to say this so we can kind of wrap it up. I'm going to just jump to the last page of the novel. Okay? You'll come across this if you continue to come to classes, but this thought of dependent arising. Dependent arising. Okay? So dependent arising is the kind of king of reasonings, they call it, to establish the emptiness of all phenomena. Without getting into why it's the king of reasonings, dependent refutes independent. Okay? So what Nagarjuna says in the Mula Manjamika, right? Whatever is dependently arisen, that is explained to be emptiness. That being a dependent designation is itself the middle way. Since there is no phenomena that is not dependently arisen, there is no phenomena that is not empty of inherent existence. You get me?
No, but sun rises. It's not dependent on my thinking or anyone's thinking.
Yes.
Rises.
Okay. Just understand this. That which is dependently arisen is explained to be emptiness. Okay. So we're not saying this is what I was saying with the analogy of the rope and the snake, right? We look at the rope, confuse it as being a snake. When we then look, there's no snake there. Now, that is very different in an important way from other phenomena, right? Because that rope is not the basis of the designation of a snake, okay? But the whatever kind of scaly body with the, fangs and the slithery tongue and all that, right? There are snakes. So there is a valid basis to be labeled a snake. Okay? It's not just my mind that is labeling things and everything's a projection, because then I can label a cushion a snake. Then I'll be, oh, watch out, you're sitting on a snake. That's not valid in the world. So conventionally, that's not legal. That's not correct. Right? The lower schools, they then criticize the Prasangika, saying, you've slipped into nihilism. Because if you say there's nothing at all from the object's own side, then everything becomes everything. And if everything becomes everything, then everything becomes nothing. Right? So we need to avoid that. So if I'm going to convince you about that in, 2 hours, then the Buddha himself will appear and give me a gold star. Okay? My own beloved mother, right before I ordained, I invited her all the way from Hawaii to come to India, to Dharamsala. And she attended teachings by the Dalai Lama. And he taught on emptiness. And the first day, she said something very similar to you, sir. Because His Holiness was saying, actually, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but His Holiness was citing in quantum physics, right? You can't make sense of an object independent of the observing mind.
It depends on measurement.
So then His Holiness kind of quipped, kind of was musing. If there's no one there observing the moon, then the moon wouldn't exist, right? So then my mom was then arguing with me. I was like, what? It's crazy. If no one was no one was perceiving the moon would just cease to exist. There'd be a big hole in the sky. And then when we look at it the next day, the moon again would appear. Okay. So then I took my mom to see one of my teachers. And my teacher asked, how are you enjoying the teaching? And I said, yeah, she was enjoying it mostly. But then when His Holiness started talking about emptiness and the whole moon not existing, all that, she kind of lost it. And you know what my teacher said? My teacher said, that's great. That's great. He said, most of the Tibetans, not you, most of the Tibetans who come to the teachings, they come and they have the prayer wheel. You've seen, right? They come and sit there with the prayer wheel, they get the butter tea, they're drinking it. And they have a lot of faith in His Holiness, but they're just like, not even questioning anything. Right? So then to hear His Holiness say, all phenomena lack inherent existence, and be like, okay, I got the answer. That's not the way you realize emptiness. That's not the way you get liberation. See, Ardeva says in the 400 stanzas, those with little merit do not even doubt this doctrine, means of emptiness. But merely entertaining a doubt about the inherent existence of phenomena will tear the foundations of samsara to shreds. Right? It's very, very true. Right? Most of us means little merit. We don't even think about these things. Don't even inquire. Right? Things appear like that? Oh, of course. Of course the moon is there when we're not looking at it. So anyway, at the beginning means maybe the first 10 years. 10 years you're studying, it's better to have more questions, more doubts, more things to marinade, if you will. You understand? But for now, we need to wrap things up, right? The answer lies in this two levels of reality, the conventional ultimate. The conventional is what is normally agreed in the world. Okay? The sun exists, the sun rises in the east, fine. But how the sun exists, whether it is, for example, right, completely like, the dream sun, completely a projection of my mind, or if there's some real sun from the side, even if no one's looking at it, right? Or is it somewhere in the middle? That's the main inquiry we have to be doing. And I tell you, if we look at what the Buddha says, what Nagarjuna says, what all these great masters say, it is this question and this confusion that is the root of all of our suffering, actually. So if it were easy, we'd all be liberated. If understanding was easy, we'd all be liberated. If explaining it were easy, then we wouldn't have to study for 20 years. and especially a teacher of my, very limited skills, I'm not going to be able to do it in 2 hours. But for now, if you guys at least, have that, like my mom, which my teacher praised. My teacher never praised me like that. Okay? That, wait a minute, huh? That kind of, something fishy is going on here. Something's a bit strange. That's good. That is what Aryadeva is saying is going to tear the foundations of samsara to shreds. Because it's with that initial kind of skepticism, wait a minute, something strange is going on here. That will then lead to questions, which will lead to more questions, which will lead to analysis, which will eventually lead to the answer. So we're going to go through this in more detail tomorrow. And next month, and next year. So anyway, let's leave it at that. But thank you for the question. It's a good one. It's actually the question. Actually. Okay? So let's dedicate the positive potential that we've created in our time here together tonight for the pacification of all suffering of sentient beings, and that they may quickly attain the state of fully and complete enlightenment. We also dedicate to the spiritual friends their long lives and their holy wishes to succeed immediately. We also dedicate to the flourishing of the Dharma, and for there to be all the necessary conditions for all the temporary and ultimate happiness of sentient beings, including there being no more war, terrorist attacks, quarreling, fighting, natural disaster, famine, or any sort of undesirable thing from now until the end of samsara.
I'm wonderful. Please to Avril Bayer, who's very ill.
I'm sorry?
My friend Avril Bayer. I left a note there.
Oh.
Avril Bayer. She's very unwell.
Avril Bayer. Yes, she is unwell. So her and everyone else that is unwell, may they quickly be free from all their ailments and attain enlightenment as quickly as possible. Okay, thank you.